For the first time in more than 2 decades, pro football will be played in Los Angeles. Head coach Jim McElwain had a lot to say after an eventful day of finalizing all of the recruiting process. When the two teams meet here at Citizens Field, it will be a continuation of more than 40 years of football tradition. 50 has never looked so good. At least that's what the Golden State Warriors would think after clinching their 50th win earlier this week. 14 students from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications partnered up with ESPNU Campus Connection to learn everything from behind the scenes. Busy week with the Reese's Senior Bowl practice underway with quite a Gator flavor. The 22nd ranked Gators only have 3 games left at home during regular season, and they welcome another 12th ranked team to the O'Connell Center tonight, Texas A&M. The Florida swimming and diving teams are in Columbia, Missouri, competing at the week-long SEC championships. You know it'll be tough. Ole Miss had a very convincing win at Alabama, but you can never count out those Gators at night in the swamp. It'll be a good one. The Florida Gator football team took to the field for its first spring practice today. It may not be the spring Coach McElwain is used to from Montana. Just as early as last year, 3 out of the 4 12 seeds were the favorites over their 5th seed opponent. But this year was a little different. As you noticed from that footage, Auburn was sporting some nice pink jerseys, and tonight will be Florida's chance to participate in the Play for K event. We are just days away from the biggest game in the year in the NFL. The New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks will face off in Super Bowl 49. It may look calm now, but earlier tonight, Gator fans were beaming with excitement for gymnastics season to finally start. With a new head coach and 5 new freshmen, it's hard not to blame them. Vanguard is coming off a bye week, which gives them some extra preparation as they're going to put up a tough fight for the Canes, who are looking to earn their 5th district title in 6 years. Reporting live from Citizens Field, Kaylee Glyder, WUFT Sports. The 90s like they were yesterday. Well, technically they were, all thanks to the Florida men's basketball team hosting a 90s theme night against the Ole Miss Rebels. Welcome back to sports. I'm Kaylee Glyder. It was a full house of rowdy Rugrats as they welcomed the Gators back after the team's biggest loss of the season. It wasn't a perfect defensive effort, but Florida played with more energy and fought through screens better than they have in the past week. In the second half, shooting over 50% from the floor, Florida told Ole Miss, "Can't touch this." Devin Robinson came off reserve and had the O-Dome jumping around by scoring a career-high 15 points. He had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 drawn charges, including the one that disqualified Stephen Moody, who scored 17 of 19 points in the second half. Coach Mike White said, "I want it that way," when talking about Robinson's tremendous performance last night.
Huge. Devin Robinson was terrific. I thought it was the best game of his Gator career. He was really good. Best day that Devin's had while I've coached him, for sure. Gets 15 points on 7 shots, was really efficient, made good decisions, and drew 3 big charges.
The win was UF's 6th in the last 8 games and left the Gators alone in 4th place in the SEC standings. Florida has now matched its win total from last season when the Gators finished 16-17 in their final season under Billy Donovan. Next up for the Gators, the Crimson Tide on Saturday. The Gators are now a half game behind idle South Carolina and Texas A&M, who both play tonight. South Carolina welcomed the LSU Tigers, who currently sit atop the SEC. And the 15th ranked Texas A&M will travel to Alabama and break their 2-game skid. Both games are at 7. And the late game at 9, Vanderbilt is split 5-5 in the SEC and welcomes the Missouri Tigers, who are riding an 8-game losing streak. The Florida women's basketball team is now in the spotlight for the orange and blue. The 16th ranked Gators are on the road to face number 2 South Carolina. The Gamecocks are still undefeated in the SEC. The team fell to the University of Connecticut, their first home game loss since 2013. In the biggest show of women's basketball, 2 undefeated teams met in front of a sold-out arena. South Carolina suffered a slow offensive start that allowed UConn to build an early double-digit lead. South Carolina went on a run but couldn't close the gap, falling 66-54. South Carolina will wrap up its homestand Thursday against Florida. Speaking of the Florida Gators, the team had a big win over Texas A&M last week, and for the first time in nearly a decade, the The team did not play on Super Bowl Sunday. This allowed the team some extra time to prepare for the top conference opponent. Head coach Amanda Butler says the team has found its identity and has full confidence moving forward.
Our team is competing with a really good idea of who they are. And I think from the outside, there's still this idea that when we beat someone, somehow it's an upset. And I think our team doesn't really look at those games as upsets. And that's no disrespect to our opponents. I think they just have a good sense of who they are and how good they are.
Game time is 7 p.m. in Columbia. Earlier today, UF's Director of Athletics spoke with ESPN WRUF about potential upgrades of several facilities at the University of Florida. Jeremy Foley also spoke about the changes he foresees with collegiate athletes having a less demanding schedule. And he commented on the University of Michigan's football program wanting to come down to the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida for a spring break practice.
A huge national initiative is, time demands on student athletes. If you've gone to the NCAA convention this past winter, we had a number of students who stood up and talked about they needed more time. And now here's an institution that's taking its entire team during their spring break to go practice. Certainly flies in the face of that.
It may look calm now, but the Florida-Georgia rivalry is already in full swing, literally. Today, Danny Werfel and the Desire Street Ministries hosted the annual Desire Cup, which features former all-star athletes from both teams working together for a great cause. Today, I spoke to some of the athletes about this weekend and what makes this matchup so unpredictable. Desire Street Ministries is proud to host the Desire Cup golf tournament, which is created around the storied rivalry between the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators. This remains the one day when the black and red and the orange and blue work together to support Danny Werfel's program to positively impact inner-city children and families through spiritual and community development programs. The former Heisman Trophy winner says how appreciative he is to have added a new element of competition to the weekend.
It's just continued to be a really exciting event. Great people that keep coming back, new celebrities each year too, and some old ones, and just a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, beautiful weather here, and all the excitement of the rivalry around the game combined with a fun time here at the beach. Couldn't be any better.
As the golf group, including Lindsey Scott, got to the first tee, the legendary Georgia wide receiver made one thing clear to the other players dressed in orange polos.
There are a few of us that remember when Georgia came down here and won quite a bit. It's always been a big deal. It's always been a game that in the season, it's really like a bowl atmosphere, and you on the neutral ground. But we've always had success here.
Rydell Anthony used to be one of Werfel's targets. Now the Gators receiver is hooking up with his former teammates and describes what the rivalry was like when he played under the head ball coach.
Get a chance to run into a bunch of fellow teammates haven't seen in a while and play a little golf and talk a lot of stuff. Every year Coach Spurrier has his, we say 5 goals. And either one or two was beat Georgia.
It was the Gators who claimed this year's Desire Cup. While Florida has a 3-2 advantage in the tournament, 3 of the previous 4 winners lost the football game the next day. Reporting for WUFT Sports, I'm Kaylee Glyder.
Kaylee Glyder has more on how the school spirit is showing on and off the field.
Gainesville, Eastside, and Buchholz High School are the 3 teams that share Citizens Field. And this week, the Bobcats were given the short end of the stick.
So we were going to have to play our homecoming game in Newberry or possibly Santa Fe. Well, the parents didn't want to do that. The only other place we could play was on our field here on campus.
Leading up to the big event Friday night, Bobcat student government transforms the halls as part of their homecoming week with 4 themes for each of the classes. Coach Whittemore also teaches at BHS, so he has been able to get a closer look at the students' hard work.
Well, I don't consider myself an art critic necessarily, but we've got some fantastic artists, and their rendering of me is impressive, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of it obviously makes a little fun of me, but that's what homecoming's all about. I like the one of me on the motorcycle. I think that was the junior hallway. Yeah, Jurassic World.
For the first time in school history, kickoff from Jesse B. Hurd Field is at 7:30. For WUFT Sports, I'm Kaylee Glyder. For the 10th year in a row, children a part of the Climb for Cancer Foundation met at the University of Florida to play with Gator athletes from various teams. Let's take a closer look.
I think our athletic association does a great job of getting everyone out here and everyone really involved, and I think all the athletes that are here did an awesome job of interacting with all the kids, and I think we all had a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it makes it so special. These children look up to these student athletes, and it's just a special day for us and a special day for them.
We did some basketball, we did volleyball, we did lacrosse, we did cheerleader. 1 to 10, 10. We had so much fun. It was the best.
I was in there playing volleyball with the little kids, and just seeing them have a good time and playing with them and helping them, that was everything.
Really fun.
I think we made up sports today, and it was great. It was just fantastic.
Gator family all together, just having fun and doing it for the kids.
Well, you know, my greatest hope is that we don't have to do this camp anymore, that cancer will be eradicated, but that's a pretty lofty goal. We just hope that the kids come back next year healthy and eager to play with the student athletes again.
For GatorZone.com, I'm Kaylee Glyder.